I'd like to show you a 5-minute video demonstrating how changing running technique can reduce heel strike, reduce forces around the knee and reduce vertical displacement, which are all aspects of the running gait that have been linked with poor performance and injury. So if we move this runner forward frame by frame, if we follow the movement of the left leg through the gait cycle, if we draw some angles of knee extension at this point, and then draw this line down towards the ankle, we can track this movement through stance phase. If we move it forward one frame, just reposition this angle, so we can see that at the point approaching heel strike we've got 177 degrees, which is pretty much full extension. If we move it forward a frame, we can see that there's very little movement of the foot between this frame and this frame. So basically the runner's leg is extended out in front, and between these frames they're waiting for the ground to come up and meet the foot, creating huge braking forces. If you watch the knee flexion angle as we go through stance phase to 161 to 143, and then at mid stance phase 138, so the knee extension angle has reduced by about 30 degrees up to this point. And then if we follow through to the point of toe off, we can see again that we're nearly at full knee extension at 179 degrees. So this runner has a knee flexion range through stance phase of around 30 degrees. And that creates high forces around the knee joint, as well as high braking forces at the point of knee extension. Now if we look at vertical displacement, if we track a point on the hip, and we can draw a trace showing the trajectory of this point as we run, and this trajectory will show us how much vertical displacement there is through the gait cycle. Now we can measure this distance. If we measure a point at the highest point down to the lowest point, we can see that this distance of vertical displacement is around 15 centimeters. So 15 centimeters is the amount of up and down movement with each heel strike. Now the average runner runs at about 180 strides a minute, and if you look at a half marathon runners running over 2 hours, that 15 centimeters over 2 hours is equivalent to raising a family saloon car weighing 1.25 tons from sea level to the top of Ditchling Beacon. Now this is wasted energy, as most runners are attempting to run forwards, not upwards. If we can reduce the amount of vertical displacement, we can save energy and reduce forces around the lower limb. Now this runner, this is the same runner following rehabilitation of gait cycle. So if we do the same thing, and we can track knee flexion range, so this is prior to heel strike. If we move forward a frame, this is roughly heel strike, so you can see that there's much less knee extension, the heel is much less in front and much more under the body at the point of heel strike, creating less braking forces. And if we trace the range through stance phase, we've gone from 155 to 137, and if we follow it through to toe off, we can see that toe off is around 160 degrees, not 179 degrees. So we have much less range of knee flexion, creating less load through the knee during stance phase. We have less braking forces, And if we do the same thing and track vertical displacement by tracking this point and drawing its trajectory on the screen, we can see how much vertical displacement this runner exhibits through the running phase. So now if we measure the amount of vertical displacement, which is from this point here to this point roughly here, which is around 8 centimetres. So we've gone from 15 centimetres to 8 centimetres, halving the amount of vertical displacement, halving the amount of force required to generate upward momentum, and the forces required to accept the body weight as it comes back down, reducing the amount of energy required and reducing the amount of damaging forces. So this can have a positive effect both in improving running economy and reducing the damaging forces around the lower limb. For more information on improving running economy, if you go to the section on performance optimization, we'll explain more aspects relating to running economy.